Welcome back. It's Saturday on Han Talks First. This is our second attempt at doing this show because we had some tech issues before, but it looks like it's going okay now. But shit happens. I am Han.
And I'm Lava Girl. I mean, Chris.
And today we're talking about Loki, episode 3, but all of the entire show. So open spoiler discussion. If you haven't seen it, come back later. And we're going to give you our thoughts. It's been a crazy week, so a past couple weeks, so we didn't get to do an episode last week. But we're here now. Feel free to let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and or check out some other episodes of Han Talks First podcast on YouTube or on your podcast app of choice. So let's just jump right into it. As we do every week on our Marvel talk shows, we start with what you thought of this week's.
Insert the cowboy meme, like that's me watching the show. I'm so into it. I can't wait for more. I'm so sad that we're halfway through now, apparently.
Halfway. That's crazy.
This last episode was incredible, and that's not just me being biased because I cried a lot. It was great. Visually great. Character development great. Just the way it was done, great. References amazing. Without getting too much into it, so you can say your thoughts and then we can get right into it. That's pretty much all I think.
Okay. So for me, well, my initial response, which I tweeted out, was I thought this was the most well-written episode. I've kind of drawn back on that a little bit, but I still think it was well-written for what it was trying to accomplish. And I thought, like you said, it was visually amazing. The coloring, the cinematography. I think they were shooting on a similar sound stage to The Volume, which is what Mandalorian shoots on. And the performances are great. I love the new character, Sylvie. I think she is a good actress. However, I don't think we learned enough about her yet to kind of understand what her purpose is in the show or who she is, where she comes from. But I like the actor, and I can't wait to see where they go from here. But overall, I think it was a good episode, a weak middle part of the series, but we have no idea what's following up. Right. So it's unfair of me to say at this moment. But I have a lot of things to talk about this, each significant part and things like that. And also, I guess we could talk about some of the social impact on, some people are kind of talking about online, both the positive and the negative, and kind of break it down here for you guys and let us know your thoughts as well. So let's start off by, since we both mentioned how good the cinematography was and the coloring was, let's just talk about that first.
It's just, oh my god, the set design, the colors, it was all so stunning. And also I know that you just brought up like very generally about like the social stuff and like representation wise, but this episode had a lot of lighting, and I think it was on purpose. Look at that. Look at it. Tell me that is not intentional. You can't. It was all stunning. I love these kinds of color palettes with neons and like, look, oh my god, look at them. I know Lamentis is supposed to be like super tragic and whatnot, and I'm just like, they had style, dude. I'm glad that they're gone now. Look at them. Also, oh my god, I love Sylvie and Loki so much. Look at them just being angry and like having to work together and get to know each other a little bit more. And I do think episode 4, or like at least coming up, we do have a lot of Sylvie backstory to go through because we do have the casting for young Sylvie. We have already seen her in photos that have come out of, or video, I think they just screenshots of that, where she is in Loki outfit but as a kid. So it was like probably before like she...
Like a flashback of the show? Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to see flashbacks of her?
Yes, we're going to learn about her.
I knew that was coming. I knew it would be the next episode or the 5th episode because they always do that. Not with Marvel, but in general. Like they usually go back in time before the grand finale, which is okay. But I that's something I didn't want. But you know what?
They have that for Falcon?
They did not have it for Falcon.
But WandaVision.
They did have it for WandaVision. And they had it for The Mandalorian, season 1. And I can't think of anything else I've watched recently. I think they did it for The Dark Crystal, but I don't really remember that much. But anyway, yeah. And for me, the coloring, the lighting, the camera work, all that kind of stuff was really great, especially the dinner scene.
Yes.
I apologize for these poor quality photos. There was nothing of high quality I could find in the
I
world yet.
wish that they would add this to Avengers Campus and like a back part. And because I mean, they can in California Adventure, they can serve alcoholic drinks, and they do that at Pin Labs.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that they would make this little tiny kind of make it like Oga's Cantina. And
Oh yeah,
I would be so happy to visit this place.
yeah. So I mean, the colors in this episode were completely different from what we've seen already. You know,
Mhm.
before it was kind of orange
Very
and
bright orange,
retro,
yeah.
and it had like a a 70s feel to it.
Mhm.
And now we're jumping in. I mean, of course, it takes place in the future, so it kind of makes sense they would want to change the look, but
Yeah.
also an alien planet. And but yeah, everything just matched perfectly. It's kind of like almost pasteled, and it just fit the tone of the content that we were getting in this episode, and
Mhm.
I was really happy with how it looked.
Right. And like the train gave me a lot of Snowpiercer by the way of Hunger Games.
Yes, Snowpiercer, definitely.
It was very that, but like make it super flamboyant. It kind of seemed like the capital people. I know like Hunger Games, they do have a train and it's just like a regular train, but make that the capital train, and that's literally what it looks like. And it's like, ooh, this is fancy.
I don't know that. I don't
The
know
Hunger
Hunger Games.
Games? But you've seen like it's maybe favorite. She's wearing like
Elizabeth
all
Banks.
the
I've seen her. Yeah.
I mean
Oh,
those
yeah,
vibes, like just like very colorful pastel and like ornate.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like your hair.
Yes.
So what else about the show? What's next on your things to hit? I wish I could zoom in on your face.
That was not the best way to word it. But I want to touch on Loki is by and it's canon now. And so is Sylvie. Ah! I do have one fear for the show, and that it is that they will make Sylvie the only version of Loki on the show that is shown to be like female presenting, because Loki, even like him, like that version of him is also gender fluid, and that's like in the comics it has been confirmed by like the Instagram account, like promotional material. And I'm scared they're gonna be like, oh look, that's him as a girl. And I'm like, no, that's a different person. It's the same person, but it's a different timelines version of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just hoping that they still follow through on that, because they can't do that. But oh my god, it was done in such a like subtle but sweet and honest way, like how it would come up in the conversation. I do think it was a really important piece of representation and also acknowledgement of the character of Loki, not only from the comics but from the Norse mythology, because Loki pretty much can be anyone that he wants, not just because he's a shapeshifter, because he likes to reinvent himself, and he has a lot of like multitudes to him and who he is
Yeah.
and who he loves. I mean, he's literally given birth, so like anything could happen.
Right. Yeah. So obviously that was the. I mean, I wouldn't even say it's like. What's the word? Well, a lot of people are acting like this is like a retcon or like a
Right, they never mentioned anything.
what is it called? Social
Like
pandering or virtue signaling. That's the word. Which, like Chris just said, it's not. I mean, it's in the Marvel comics already that he is, not just bi, but he, will be with anyone he wants to, whether that's a thing or a a person or an animal or a alien.
Which is completely unrelated. Because,
right.
Yeah, because I mean, I think he gave birth to a horse. I think that's what, if I remember correctly, that is what happened. But that is a completely separate thing. That's more the shapeshifter side of him, not gender or his orientation.
Yes. And for the people watching on the video, I think we're having a really bad connection issue. So I apologize. If you cannot hear or if it's coming in choppy, please let us know because we have to fix that right away. One thing I said to Chris after we didn't watch it together, but we watched it separate, and when we finished, she texted me and said, "Oh my god, I can't believe that happened. That was so great," or whatever. And I said, "Yes, it was done very well." And that's where my comment about the writing is so good in this episode came from, is that specific scene. It's clear that this whole episode's goal was just for that one thing. I mean, even the director herself said it. This was like her main goal for the show, which I think is taken out of context of her other goals for this show.
Literally, that's
Because
not
I don't
what
believe
she meant.
I don't believe
Literally.
Kate Hannon signed up for this job just so she could make Loki bisexual, and that's
No,
it.
like
I mean, I think people take that comment out of context,
right.
understandably, but still understand that
Mm,
that was the goal for this episode. I think.
mm,
I don't think anything else mattered in this episode, and it to me it doesn't, because there was only one significant thing in this episode
mhm.
that I think you can take away from this, and without having to watch the full episode, and that is that the timekeepers, or I'm sorry, the
The TVA
TVA workers don't know that they
or
were
former,
created,
like
or
yeah,
from Earth, or wherever originally.
former variants.
Yeah,
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 which is crazy. I
and
feel I have a theory, and it's probably super common for this episode. It's not the theory that I told you, but this whole thing, this whole episode, the time that they spend together, like figuring more stuff out and knowing about each other, is all because they're trying to fix the thing. The thing is, Loki can literally make illusions of anything. So I think that he was doing that on purpose to get more information from her, not only how she uses her own powers, but to figure her out. And that's why they were having these conversations within the whole adventure that they had. And at the end, when he shows it being broken, I don't think that's real.
I have theories about that too. Let me finish this thought first, and then because back to what I was saying again about the goals for this episode, I believe Bisha K, I can't remember her name, the writer for this episode, Bisha something. I believe her mandate was to write a standalone episode with the reveal about, you know, them being who they are or whatever. And I think she did a great job. I don't think it was one thing I told Chris was it revealed it in a way that it didn't have to put down anyone else or say or it wasn't like in a passing thought, which would have felt forced. It was done in such a diegetic way.
Right.
And
It was done and like monitored by people who would have been in that situation and how they would actually talk about it. Because it's not like, oh, I feel like if it had been a bunch of like straight people pandering, it's like, oh, it's Pride Month, let's slather everything in rainbows. It would have been very stereotypical, made a huge deal about the coming out. And most times you're just like, hey, by the way, here, there's a specific information. This is who I am. Let's move forward. Now you know. Here's some context.
right. Yeah, that's the thing. It didn't feel pandered, and it could have very easily came across that way.
And they didn't mean like, oh, it's all good. You do like Sylvie just like, yeah, I get you. Like it was very just mutual understanding. Let's move forward because that's not what this is about. But it's cool that we learned more about you.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So obviously that's the main takeaway in like the cultural circles on social media, what a lot of people are taking from it. But as far as like the actual stuff that went on in this episode, I saw a lot of people talking about the development of characters was really strong. I actually disagree with that, and I want to know what you think. I thought there was no development of the character Sylvie. I thought we didn't learn anything about her, but they tried to make us empathize with the fact that she's a girl who had wrong done to her, and now she's trying to make her right, almost. Yeah. But we were first introduced to her as a cold blood killer, setting people on fire. And I mean, maybe the TVA is bad, but she knows that they're under some kind of hypnotistic spell, which means that she's killing them for, they don't even know why they're being killed almost. Right. So I'm confused about what character development people see, and maybe you do as well, and what the relationship is between Loki and Sylvie. And like you just brought up too, who's manipulating who? Someone is in a trance. That's what I think. Someone is.
It could be either of them, literally.
Right.
Or maybe it's like an Inception thing, and Sylvie made the scenario
inside one person's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no way off the planet unless Owen Wilson comes in and is like,
right.
hey guys, I got you. Wow. But okay, so the character development. I want to hear what
Okay.
your thoughts were because you said you liked the development.
I like how you get to learn more about them. Like I know that they're gonna like actually flesh it out more. I do think that with Sylvie, you get to see how their both their upbringings were so different and how their viewpoints as they were shaped by them is so different. How Loki, even though he had been gone through like so much, he had his mom Frigga,
Frigga.
Frigga. Yeah, sorry. I'm always like I don't know how to say her name. I'm like I don't know how to say things that are in Norse. Oh,
There we go.
okay,
I guess it
that's
just needs to
better.
cool down a little bit. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, sure, Odin, terrible dad until like his last 5 minutes of existence. But Frigga was always there for him. She taught him magic. She helped him. Like she was the one person that had accepted him.
Well, have you heard the
She's
Frigga
not.
theory?
Oh, that
That Sylvie is actually a younger version or an alternate version of
I've
Frigga.
heard that. I don't know how I feel about
And
it.
it's the version of Frigga from the alternate version of the comics where she hates that her one child is that Odin brings home a child that's not Asgardian. So that's why she says in the show, I hate the name Loki. Don't tell me the name Loki. Because she ran away from Asgard when Odin brought home Loki for an ice giant. and that's a crazy theory. I don't think it's true, but
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's pretty creative.
There's a couple of theories that I could see happening, like the one that I told you where it's was it that she was a Loki variant, but then like she got taken in by the TVA, but then she found out about herself, then went against them, and that's it. And then Mobius is either a Loki variant or a Thor variant. I want one of those so bad, but I don't know which one yet. And I also think like it could also pretty much be Loki, or it could still be, I mean, the Sylvie, just Enchantress, but through a Loki variant, probably like old Loki or like an elder Loki, I don't know,
Mhm.
had been shaped into being basically a new Loki, but she's like, I'm my own person.
Yeah. I can say fun theories and stuff, but I really just think she's a Loki.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
And
that's the most straightforward one. They probably will just do that.
I think mostly I just tell myself that is because that's what the show has told us, and I don't want to get myself disappointed by setting up an
True.
expectation or a twist that
Let's
is
not
never going to
Mephisto
happen.
this again.
Right? She's Mephisto. I guess before we move on, I have to welcome Josh to the chat because Josh, it's been a long time, my friend. Welcome back. It's good to see you. I see you're throwing in a bunch of great comments. I guess I will just highlight a few of them as far as the production quality is phenomenal, which we both said as well. Tom Hiddleston is fantastic. Yes. And Josh actually thinks that Sylvie isn't really an actual Loki, but was adopted by an old Loki. I haven't heard that one yet. That's interesting. What do you think about that, baby?
I think that might very well be true. It's kind of like how people were saying like she is the Enchantress proposing as Loki, and this one she would be like an apprentice to Loki, and that's how she can shield herself and appear to the TVA as a Loki variant. Maybe she even took his place in as a variant. I don't know.
Okay, sorry guys. It looks like our picture froze, but our audio is still coming through, so we're just gonna.
Get to look good, and I'm just.
We're gonna. You look great. And I also saw Josh's comment here about is it possible that Loki still has the Tesseract and could use it to save them? We never saw it taken back from him after it was retrieved from Casey's desk drawer. We actually did see it get taken away. The woman who put the collar around his neck, the guy in the background actually picked it up. I was looking for that too. That's the only reason why I noticed it. But I think, to build off of what your comment was, I think he has the time stone. Because if you remember in episode 2, when he was, or was it 1? When he found out the Infinity Stones were paperweights. So he picked up the time stone and held it. And then the guy was like, yeah, they're just paperweights. And we never saw him put it back down. And then in episode 3, we see him stop a crumbling building from falling, but not just stop it. He also puts it back in time to where it was.
Yeah, which could be an interpretation of his powers, but it really probably is the time. So it does look exactly how that looks.
Yeah, and to comment off that, as far as his, we're just gonna keep switching cameras. Sorry, guys. To comment on top of that, Loki's powers.
Mhm.
What are his powers? First of all, Loki is a god
Right.
when he's first introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's able to take over the planet Earth all by himself. If it wasn't for Captain America, Iron Man, etc., he would have done it. He is a god. He has insane powers. He's a magician.
It's tough to
He
be a god.
he's it's tough to be a god. But I felt like in this episode they completely depowered him. And then we randomly see him stop a building from falling. It's like,
Yeah.
where has this been? Why? Well, first of all, why have we never seen him do that before? And second of
Right.
all, he got beat up by goons on a train.
That too.
What?
It's super weird because like in the comics, Loki is literally like boom, boom, boom. In the MCU, we've seen him be powerful, but it's mostly through tools like the Tesseract or like certain like the Mind Stone, stuff like that. And it doesn't make any sense because basically in the MCU, I love MCU Loki, but instead of being the god of mischief, they made him the god of knives. Because all he does is twirl the knives.
That's true.
I love it. It's not the extent of his power. I feel like he's much more powerful than that, and I wish that they would let him kick more ass.
Yeah, that's
That's my opinion.
the thing. I'm just confused about what his power level is because I mean, one of the like my biggest concerns for the MCU as a whole has been people are becoming omnipotent and more powerful every time a movie comes out. And it's like, well, then what will the threats be at that point? Because Iron Man, for example, got way more and more powerful per movie, and then to the point where he could be stabbed by Thanos and be okay 5 minutes later. So it's like, what am I like? What am I rooting for here? Like they're gonna be fine. But with Loki, they're kind of going the opposite direction because I feel like we've lost a bunch of his powers.
Yeah.
But another question on top of that, relating to his powers, when he was brought into the TVA for the first time, shouldn't he have been an ice giant? Because Owen Wilson says when you're here, none of your powers work, and you are who you like truly are. Doesn't Loki disguise himself as a human, or to look as Guardian? I guess.
I mean, I guess it's just probably their budget for like prosthetics and the effects. But
or I guess you could
like
say Odin is the one that put the spell on him.
That could also be
and it was like an irreversible
he was
spell.
trying to do his like powers. He does still have his powers. I feel like he can still create illusions and like manipulation more Sylvie's power, but he can definitely like influence and create scenarios.
Basically. Yeah, I see. The other thing about like kind of who these characters are and stuff about Mobius, I believe there's multiple Mobiuses.
It's a Mobius strip.
It's a Mobius strip. Like when he was in the judge's office and he put his cup down and she was like, the rings. He was like, they were here when I got here. She's like, yeah, you did it. Right. It's like he doesn't remember doing it or whatever. And then
or has been getting reset.
Oh, that's a good one too. He's being reset all the time, also, every time he does a job.
Theory: before he got turned into a TVA agent, he was a jet ski professional or enthusiast, and that I could see that too. He's so into it, and he's like, "I'll have to try it someday." Wow.
What if it? Wow, ka-chow! What if he? What if we? We end this series with him riding off into the sunset on a jet ski, so and then he meets Falcon Winter Soldier in the middle of the ocean. I don't know.
This man's got wings.
Wow. So what else from you about this show?
I'm trying to think of things to say that haven't been said. Oh, I thought it was really fun to see how each one of them has such a different approach to problem solving when they're trying to get that lady to like tell them where to find the station. And Sylvie just goes and like kick ass, take names, chew bubble gum. And Loki's trying to be like, hello, I am your long lost husband. Oh, oops, so was he abusive? I'm so sorry, bye. I feel like that shows you how they're both basically people who have similar goals, but they're completely different in like how they go across getting to that. Sylvie has had to teach herself, be the only one looking out for her, and basically oh my god, I keep moving so much here. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm constantly farting. I'm so sorry. We can cut that out, please. But yeah, I just feel like it says a lot about who they are as different versions of the same person, like how much someone's positive reinforcement can really change how you see the world and how you act toward it.
So you think you think there was chemistry building.
Yeah.
So talking about that scene specifically, what was the point of that scene? For you, is it building a relationship between the both of them and identifying their similarities and differences?
For that one, it was more like how they differ, and then later when they're at the bar, it's more of them finding common ground.
Okay, see, I'm watching that scene, and then when it ends, I was like, I wonder what the significance was. And then by the end of the episode, I was like, what the hell is the point of that scene?
Mhm.
Now, before I go on, let me continue to say this is my favorite MCU show so far. This,
Are you sure?
I am like, I criticize everything. That's just
Me
who I am
too.
as a person. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy it and love it. I really do. And I said this episode was fantastic when it ended.
Mhm.
My first thoughts about it. The only issue I'm having is I can't tell where the show is going to go. I have no idea what's going to
Right.
happen next, and the next episode might reveal that episode 3 was the most important episode of all time. But for me, it's like,
With
why
nothing
are we
much
on this
else.
planet? Why are we
Mhm.
spending so much time here? It felt like episode 1 and 2 was like dun 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 dun, dun like building, and then it was like, oh, we're gonna chill out on this planet for a little
Yeah.
bit. And
So I think this is kind of like a technically like a bottle episode, and in real time, I don't think that it's happening in the time that it feels like. I feel like this is just like a second or so. It's pretty much like a dream. It's
oh,
just
like
like no
relativity.
longer. Yeah, it's like, I mean, the show is already playing a lot with like the perception of time and how everything plays into each other chain of events.
Yeah.
So I feel like this episode isn't happening in real time and it's just within their heads, or maybe they did end up somewhere, but then it's just basically an inception game of manipulation toward each other. Because I mean, Sylvie was asleep at one point, and then she wakes up and Loki's like having a party, which amazing. Also, I loved that part with him singing an Asgardian, and then with the another. I'm just like, oh, it just made me feel really nice and cute.
Yes, him singing was the highlight of this episode for me. That was my
Mm-hmm.
favorite part.
Let Loki sing more.
Had
We
no
got
idea.
Zemo dancing, Loki singing.
Had no idea he could sing, and
Mhm.
it was beautiful. I was like, "There's no way he's singing that." They dubbed that. They just found someone who sounds like him, but damn, it was good.
Mhm.
Um, there was one more thing I wanted to comment on, and you just said it. I can't remember what it was.
About the episode being, or about Loki singing.
I don't remember.
I said that I think this is not happening in the real time because the show plays a lot with like timelines and perspective.
Oh, that's right. So, yeah, and the whole idea of like this is happening in somebody's head. Somebody is
Mhm.
being enchanted on, or someone has a
Mhm.
spell upon their head, and I believe it could be Sylvie that is under the trance, because there was a weird cut in
Yeah.
this episode where
And she wakes
they
up.
were talking, and then out of nowhere it cuts to her waking up from a sleep, and it was
Mhm.
very odd watching it, because I was like, that's an interesting choice,
Right.
but maybe it was like for time. And then by the end, I was like, I wonder if she's like in a spell, similar to what
Yeah.
you said when he pulls out the transponstor, and he's like, oh, it's broken.
Mhm.
That wasn't the real transponstor,
Yeah.
or if that's whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
The
And
temp pad.
temp pad, and he has the real one still
Mhm.
in his heart. So
Yes.
to quote him,
I think that the episode Sylvie was manipulating him, but as soon as she wakes up, she is being manipulated by Loki.
so the Inception thing. I mean,
Yeah,
I could see
it's
that happening
most
too.
likely, if anything. Or maybe nobody was manipulating anyone. They were trying to get in each other's head, and then once she wakes up, she's being tricked by Loki. It's more
Yeah,
likely.
and it's because the common critique of this episode is how god awful the dialogue and writing is, which I disagree with. I think it was great, and
Really?
I think I hear it a lot, and I think it was important because
Mhm.
all the questions are very specific. How do you do that charm? How do you how who
Mhm.
taught you magic? Oh, tell me about your mother. All that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. I feel like they're trying to get into each other's heads so they know
Mhm.
how to manipulate each other. I
Yeah.
still don't think they're friends.
Oh no,
And
they're definitely bonding, but they're not friends. They're
right.
trying to trust each other and not get
That's why
betrayed.
it's so difficult to discuss this episode, because it feels standalone. So it feels easy to judge it and be like, that
Right.
sucked. But it's
It
probably
really
not
isn't.
going to end up being standalone. It probably goes I mean, it obviously goes straight into 4 because it left off on a cliffhanger, which was annoying.
Oh my god.
That was
We were
so
like, we need
frustrating.
more.
But yes, there's this. It didn't feel like a lot happened in this episode, but there is a lot to unpack from it at the same time. I think it's just all shrouded in mystery at this point.
I feel like it was important not only for the big reveal about the variants turned TVA agents at the beginning, that they showed the girl with Sylvie at the bar and like the whole scenario of how she literally constructed her past just to get information and asking multiple questions, even like the whole thing distracting her by using what a brain freeze is to try to like, extract more things and be like, oh, where did the elevators go? Like,
that was it. Best cold open ever.
Also, Haley Kiyoko, happy Pride Month.
That was an amazing opening to this episode.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, it seems super out of place. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh my God, wait, is this Sylvie's backstory? She seems the same age. So this is kind of weird. And then I'm like, oh, this is all like a game. And that's how she gets to people. And that's why the other agents, she was like, I told her everything.
Yeah.
And she didn't even realize.
Yeah, fantastic opening. My favorite one so far. I loved it. Let me go into the comments here because I see Josh is saying some stuff. I would love to address it here. What? Oh. We don't judge you for being gassy, Chris. Audio listeners are so confused right now. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that's all I have to say about this episode. You too?
I mean, I think so. I think we touched pretty much on most of the things we wanted to say.
Episode 2 is my favorite so far. I love that.
I mean, I like all of them so far. I do have like certain things that I wish could have been done a little bit better, of course. Like you can, it could be better, but but honestly, I am enjoying this
thoroughly.
Another.
I low-key enjoy it thoroughly.
I can't seem to get the Loki. Oh my God.
I am too, but yeah, episode 2 is my favorite so far. I just love the buddy cop detective type stuff.
Yes. Oh my God. I feel like Loki has just been having really good chemistry and like in interactions with every character because even when at odds or not, they have like the banter and like back and forth between the characters is always so fun.
Yes.
I do want more Mobius Loki shenanigans.
I do too.
But yeah, I can't wait for episodes 4 and 5 because didn't Tom Hiddleston say that those were his favorites too?
Tom did say that episode 4 and episode 5 are his favorite episodes.
So I cannot wait to see what that is.
And don't forget, we also have Richard E. Grant showing up in the show.
Oh, what?
And he hasn't showed up yet. Oh. The theory is he could be a timekeeper.
Oh.
I honestly don't expect to see the timekeepers.
No.
I'm going into it not expecting to see them.
Wizard of Oz thing.
Oh, like Man Behind the Curtain.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
And it's or just made up.
What if it's the literal Wizard of Oz?
Oh my God. That'd be so funny. I do think I'm starting to really think about like the whole thing with the Kang thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that Kang is monitoring threats to his power. And that's why he let the Avengers time travel because it didn't affect his rise to power because it would. But basically, people who would have trying to overthrow him, like Sylvie, that's what he's trying to stop. And that's why he had taken her in. Stuff like that, like stuff that doesn't affect him, like people going back in time, that's fine, whatever, I don't care.
I can see that happening,
which could be a reason for that because I mean I think regardless, like I had said in the previous episode of the after show, I think that the whole Avengers going back in time didn't really affect the timeline. It was more to like fix it. It still aligns either way, believing in this theory or not.
Yeah, I can see that too. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that is it for us today, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Let me try and get the camera back up one last time so that we could say goodbye properly. Looks like I cannot get the camera back up. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. I'm sorry this happened. I know it's frustrating to probably watch this or listen to it, but I'll figure it out and I'll get it all worked out. You know, trying new pieces of equipment here, and it's all, you never know what's going to happen. So
goes crazy.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for listening. Appreciate it. We, of course, will be back next week with another Loki after show.
And Han will be here talking about so many cool things from Star Wars, including The Bad Batch, which I hear is getting really good.
That is right. Discussing episode 9, Bounty
9?
Lost.
Oh my god. I missed
Tomorrow.
a lot.
Tomorrow, I might be doing it live. We'll see. And then, of course, if you're still with us, and you want to support us at streamelements.com/hantalksfirst/tip, you can tip to this channel and submit a question or thoughts, and we will, if they're topic related, we'll use it as main topics on the show. Speaking of Bad Batch, there's a bonus episode of Han Talks First coming this week that is about bounty hunters, all about the guild, bounties, how they're paid, all that kind of stuff, which you can check out really soon. Bad Batches only.
Oh, thank you, Josh. Thank you for coming in. It was nice having you. Thank you for listening.
Agreed. Well, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
We're signing off. We will see you very soon.
Loki, looking forward to it a lot.
Thoroughly.
I'm Loking.
Loking.
Thoroughly enjoyed this time with you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.